Hey, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
This is the Plain Donuts Podcast.
Welcome.
Enjoy the show. Okay. Hey, we're ready.
We are ready.
And we're recording.
And we are very recording.
Welcome to the Plain Donuts Podcast. I am your co-host, Steve.
And I'm your other co-host, Alicia. Welcome.
We did it.
We did it.
Hey, so you thought that our last podcast was like one of our best. You said that.
I did say that. I thought it was really funny. I thought we had some good stories, had some good things to talk about. It was really interesting. I was really into it.
I liked it too.
Yeah. I hope you guys liked it, because you downloaded it 20 times
we can
on
check
iTunes.
That.
Oh, yeah.
we should like repost those other things that we posted to say that we're recording.
Oh, yeah. We should.
So I'm just going to share that one post right now.
Share it.
Oh, my dogs.
Steve's got these two really great dogs. And I don't want to talk about them too much, because that is a topic that is in our bowl. And I don't want to talk about it now and then pull it out later and be like, oh, we already talked about this. But all I'll say is they're really great, like, cartoon-like dogs. And I like them a lot. So Steve's writing another post.
And they bark a lot, and it really frustrates me. Some people's dogs are so well behaved, and I'm like, I just don't want to beat my children, so... Okay. Get your questions, comments, confessions in. Boom. All right, did it. I'm going to copy that and do this. And then I'm also going to do the same thing.
On Twitter.
On Twitter.
Yeah. We talk about our social media a lot.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's bad. But hey, we did write a post earlier, and we did get some good confessions. So I'm pretty excited about that.
It's really good. Okay, so we're actually totally done with our social media.
Yeah, which is way faster than normal. I think we usually talk about it for at least 15 minutes. So 15-ish minutes. The first show, we did it for a while, but now we're...
Yeah, the first show, I have heard... See, it's funny because you hear, like, different things. Mm-hmm. Like, one person said, oh, that recording of you guys doing your social media, that's hilarious. Yeah. And another person said, you guys did your social media and that was whatever. You could skip that first part if you want to listen. And I'm like, but some people said it was funny.
Yeah. So if you like it, keep listening. But if you don't like it,
just skip ahead. Yeah. Why not? You're not listening in real time.
Skip ahead 5-ish minutes. We're not a radio show. It's not live.
Okay, alright. So so speaking of like shout outs and social media and all that crap that we just finished for today, last time, and actually the time before, we said, hey, get your shout outs in, and our friend Jamieson in particular was like, give me a shout out. And I responded and I was like, oh, we just finished. Sorry, dude. Yeah. We'll get you a shout out in the next one. And then we didn't.
And then we didn't do it for the next one either. So really sorry, Jamieson. We love you.
Yeah, this is your shout out, my man. Woohoo. This whole section is just for you.
Just for you.
You're like liquor because we like you. Jamieson the drink.
Oh. That makes more sense now. I thought you were just saying that just to say that. Like,
we're like liquor because we're alcoholics.
You're like Eggs Benedict, and we like that. Or whatever. I don't know if you like
I don't really like Eggs Benedict. I'm not a huge fan of hollandaise sauce. So, Jamieson, my man, you are not like hollandaise sauce because we like you.
At least to Steve. I like hollandaise sauce.
Is it your favorite sauce?
It's not my favorite sauce.
Yeah. Otto's giving us a picture of Jamieson now just for inspiration.
Yep, that's alcohol, all right? Oh, yeah. For those of you who have listened to the first and third episode, we have referenced Otto a couple times. That's my husband. He sits on the floor of the studio and listens to us talk.
We'll just call him the producer.
Oh, yeah, our producer.
That's a great... That's great. Otto, our producer, is here. Otto, Alicia's husband / producer.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we should go back because also when we did the last one, we had a couple of confessions.
Oh, those are really good.
Right after we finished, and I was like, "Dang it, we got to post this earlier." Yeah. So this time, in your social media tutorial with Plain Donuts, you'll know that we posted earlier about confessions and stuff to gather some more and just to let people know what was happening. Don't comment on this political status. All right. Rory, you're hilarious. Stop horning in on my stuff.
Who was that?
That was my friend Rory. He's such. He is a puzzle of a man.
Oh, okay.
So
shout out to Rory.
I guess so.
A puzzle of a man. If you're listening.
He just said, fine, I'll quote it. He said, shout out to Donald Trump for being a really great guy. Thanks, Rory.
Thanks.
We get it. You're a fake Trump supporter. Got it. Hilarious. This long con has gone on way too long, and now I'm a rapper.
Here at Plain Donuts, Steve spits sick verses.
This long con has gone on way too long. Okay, great. Great. So anyway, I don't care. I just don't care anymore. Anyway, to the real confessions.
To the real ones.
My friend Sarah posted, it seemed like she was actually a little bit angry at the time of posting this confession. I'm not sure, that's just kind of the tone I get from it. But she said, I once poured orange juice in my toddler's brother's face while I sat on him. Juicy enough? And I was like, whoa.
But that is juicy and juicy because it's orange juice.
I wonder if she meant to do that cleverly. I bet she did.
She probably sounds like the type of person that would do that.
Yeah,
I don't know her, but
she has a podcast called the Geek Parent Podcast or Geek Parenting or something like that. It's pretty good. I'm not a parent, so it's hard for me to really relate, but it's a decent podcast. Anyway, that's a hilarious thing to imagine. I don't know if I should call Child Protective Services or anything about you sitting on a child and pouring orange juice in their face, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and know that it was probably just a hilarious situation and not.
And they might have deserved it too. We didn't know what they did.
I don't think CPS cares if they deserve it or not.
I think they might care a little bit.
All right. Well, we won't name any last names.
Yeah. You won't get anything from us. We're no snitches.
We don't want to get no stitches.
Stitches.
Oh man, Steve Raps are on tonight. Okay, Steve Raps. I just third
Steve
person referenced myself. So anyway, that's a really good one. I kind of relish the idea of sitting on a child and pouring orange juice in their face. I know that's kind of bad, but sometimes this kid needs to know.
This needs to happen.
There's a story on Reddit about a guy farting in a child's face in a grocery store, and it's pretty funny. So, in case you want to look that one up for yourselves.
We won't provide links. You gotta go search for yourself.
Yeah, so it's really funny because, people keep trying to tell us to, read things from the internet, especially Amazon reviews that are already funny, right? Yeah. They're like, oh, go check out the reviews for this hilarious t-shirt. What about sugar-free gummy bears? This whole thing, and I'm like, guys... The whole point of that segment, I know, obviously people didn't think it was funny, which is fine, but the whole point is for us to be funny, not the review. So don't send me reviews that already are funny, because that's just somebody else's comedy that I'm reading aloud on my own podcast. That is ridiculous.
Steve is very passionate about this.
This has been suggested to us multiple times. Yeah. The first one was very much in good humor, so I was like, and they all have been, to be honest, but they keep sort of piling up, and I'm like, okay, well, the Amazon review segment wasn't funny. We'll prepare better next time. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Got it.
What did we review for reviews? Wasn't it an egg beater?
Yeah, it was a mixer, right?
Oh,
and I thought there was one review in particular where the title was "Just Like Me, She Cried When She Saw It," and I was just like, "What?"
Yeah, and that was the crazy roller coaster of the uncle getting the egg beater for his niece.
Go back and check out episode 4. 3 or 4?
3 or 4? I think it's 4.
It might be 4. We split them up usually, so It's hard to remember which is what. But anyway, yeah. So I believe it's episode 4. You could go check out. Let me make sure I'm muted. I was. So yeah, good. Sorry for my little mini rant. I just got enraged. Sometimes you have to yell on the podcast.
Oh yeah. So this next confession we probably should keep anonymous. Although they did post it on Facebook, so how anonymous.
It's a guy I know, actually. He works with me, and I just kicked the leg. There's going to be a dunk in the middle of our podcast, just like every time. And nobody will notice except people now because I said that. But every time I hear it, and I go, oh, dang it. I need a better microphone. When does our Kickstarter start?
Some person in the future, when we have a good 50 followers.
A good solid 50 downloads
per episode. It's going to say, the sound quality on this podcast is really poor. You can hear every time they're hitting the table or kicking the leg of the chair.
Alicia's chair is really squeaky.
It's really squeaky. Hey, can you hear it? Actually, it's not really squeaky now. Oh, it's like a little click. Anyways.
Alicia's chair is like just a rickety old man.
Oh yeah. And last time I fell out of my chair, so that was exciting.
I know, that was exciting. And I get really critical of the episode as I'm listening to it because, we said, we want to improve, we want to get better. So I'm listening back going like, okay, is there dead space? Is there something that just didn't feel funny or whatever, right? Yeah. And so I'm listening to it. And that part in particular, I was like, oh crap, that's so weirdly unprofessional for our chair to be falling apart in the middle of the podcast. Like, we really need some better equipment around here. Gotta get some sponsors quickly.
Shout out to Lisbon, our podcast hosting.
I think it's Libsyn.
Lisbon?
Yeah, Libsyn.
Libsyn.
Libsyn. They're actually really good. We host with them. So if you're starting a podcast, it's a good one.
Yeah, and they should also sponsor us.
Yeah, totally,
right?
Libsyn. What's up?
Look at all these downloads.
They're like slowly trailing off.
No,
we have about a peak at every episode. Like some of them are pretty high. We had one episode that was pretty significant because of social media. Thanks, social media. And then the rest of them have about 20 or so downloads. We could see the actual stats if everybody's
Everyone's really curious about our awesome stats.
Our totally awesome stats. Yeah, they're in the 20-ish range.
Late 20s.
All right. We're both. You're coming up to your late 20s, right?
Yeah, kind of.
I guess I shouldn't announce your age. That's very rude of me. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, Steve.
We already said we're both millennials.
Yeah.
I read today that the millennial generation is born in 1980 to 1999. And I'm like, people born in 1999 are in the same generation as me?
That's so weird.
Because I feel like all those people are idiots. They're all like 16 right now.
Yeah. That's kind of weird to think about, actually. Like, just because it's a...
Isn't it weird?
Yeah, I look at high schoolers and I'm like, oh, they're kind of scary.
I'll be clear, scary. I am 32 years old. I am double the age of some people that are supposedly in my same generation. It's really uncomfortable. But anyway.
Anyways.
So this guy I know, we won't name him because, I don't know, public shaming or whatever. But he said, I quite enjoy some of the Twilight films. The action's not too bad.
I think he's specifically referencing the third Twilight film or the fourth Twilight film.
You gotta be referencing one after the first one because the first one is like
sweeping camera angles and like swelling emotional music and lots of eye contact, but you just felt really uncomfortable. Like it wasn't like, oh, this is romantic. It's just like, oh, this is really... I
mean, what we can say is they translated the books really well.
Yes.
Zing!
That's true.
Just kidding.
That's true.
That's bad. I'm sorry, Stephanie Meyer. You don't care about me. Your books have sold a zillion. You're good. But
she's in her mansion counting her money, throwing it into a fireplace, maybe. I don't know what Stephanie Meyer does in her free time, but that's what I would do if I...
Just count your money next to a fireplace?
Yeah.
Like, just don't drop it.
No, I just want to put it in the fire just because I have so much money.
I just burned $1,000 literally.
Yeah, literally.
Man, that would suck. Can you imagine just like being me or you sitting there while someone is like, I have $1,000. Whoosh. I'd be like,
You know, I would like to think that I wouldn't go for it if it was in the fire, but I probably would.
You're like, save it.
I get it. My hands are burned, but is this still salvageable?
I don't know. So lately I've just felt super strapped. Oh man, I felt like I don't have any money lately, which is really kind of sad.
Well, Steve moved recently. Well, not recently,
but
kind of recently, and his in-laws were living with him, and then they moved, and just lots of crazy stuff has been happening in Steve's life.
Lots of things happening. Our mortgage, because we bought a real crappy house at a really low time in the market. It wasn't really crappy, but it was crappy enough that we did a lot of work to it and made some money on it. So we bought really low, so our mortgage was a lot. It was half of what it is now. So so now I'm like, oh geez, I don't know what to do with how do I manage my finances? I used to be good at this, kinda. Anyway, confessions from Steve are way more awkward than confessions from people on the internet. You gotta step your game up, guys. Okay, so my brother Christopher said, work busy, can't talk about. Confession over. I guess he's busy at work, and he works in the military, so maybe he's referencing something classified.
He's doing this from a private server, so...
I can't talk about what I'm doing at work. The president is right behind me. Christopher, are you on Facebook? That was my really good Obama impression.
That was a really great Obama impersonation. That was great.
So good. Okay.
But better than any of the impersonations I can do, because I can't do any presidential impersonation.
I can't do any impersonations anymore. When I was a kid, I was actually pretty good at aping people, but no longer.
Oh, there's this guy that I'm working with now. His name's Patrick, and he does really good impersonations of Elmo, of Stitch, of a couple random
cartoon characters.
But it's really good. And so he'll say things, and it kind of creeps me out just because I'm like, oh, I don't think that character would say that. That feels like they're betraying that character. But
anybody can do the Yoda voice thing.
Yeah.
Happy I am, or whatever, right? Anybody could do that, but you could say some really awkward, uncomfortable things.
Yeah, he does a pretty good Gollum, and that's pretty funny. So
that's cool.
That's I don't know. I really like Gollum just because his voice is just so unhinged and just kind of sad, and you're like, oh no, he's such a sad person, but he says really funny things. His voice is really funny, so
yeah,
I don't know.
It's a really good character.
Yeah.
Great job, Tolkien.
Good job.
Is that how you say it? I never know.
Tolkien?
It's Tolkien, and people are like, no, it's Tolkien, and I'm like, I want to hear him say it, and then
he's dead, Steve. He can't say it.
I know. When I get to heaven, I'll be like, J.R.R., my man.
He's like,
J.R.?
J.R.?
One R? George R.R.
George. Yeah. Wait, no.
Wrong. Right. George R.R. Martin, J.R. Tolkien. Just one R, I believe.
R. Not to be confused.
R. J.R. Tolkien. All right. This has been a really good segment about impersonations. Okay. We have some really good ones from today, actually. So, Christopher again, who was the one about his job, he said... I have made babies with Steve's sister. Number one. That's a great confession. I don't want to think about it too much. If I go too deep on that, I'll weep. I won't be able to finish any of this podcast. But anyway, yeah, he really totally... They have 2 kids.
They have 2 kids.
2 adorable sons.
Oh, you have 2 nephews.
Yeah, their names... I have 3 nephews.
Oh.
4... Technically 4. We won't go into that right now because there's some old family drama that we shouldn't probably discuss right here. Tune into my other podcast, Plain Donuts Late Night.
Plain Donuts Nights.
Plain Donut Nights. Plain Night.
Plain Nights.
Okay.
Night
We're coming up with a really good name for it right now. Anyway, so that's confession number 1. And number 2... my sister is actually in town, and she flew out for my dad's birthday party. They live in Sicily, Italy right now because he's in the military.
Oh, that's cool.
Anyway, he said, I haven't done the dishes all month. I hope my wife doesn't kill me because he's there alone.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sad.
That's so sad.
My friend Chris, this confession is really good. This week, I gave the middle finger award to another vehicle for their operator's distinguished quote-unquote driving skills. I then realized the self-nominating vehicle belongs to a pastor I know. So you're like, F you, buddy, or whatever. We'll have to bleep that part out, because in TV, if you say F you, they bleep out the F part. Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh, so they like make it seem more...
They make it seem worse, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's hilarious. Even if
good.
it's just like one of your friends. Like, it doesn't even have to be a pastor friend. Just like, you're like a road rage, you get someone and they're like, screw you, buddy. And then it's like, oh, wait.
Oh, this is awkward. I haven't
Sorry,
done that,
Jonathan.
But I have done the awkward thing where I see someone in public that I know, and I kind of like stare at them, and like I'm like, oh, I don't want to make eye contact with them. Like, I don't feel like talking to them, but then you keep like looking back at them like, oh, they know I'm here, and then you do make eye contact, and you know that they know that you were looking at them, and they know who you are, but then they don't come over, and so that's just really awkward, like in between, like, oh, is this our relationship now? We're just really two uncomfortable people, but we'll never talk to each other.
It is your relationship now.
That's what it is, so...
Very awkward.
Anyways, thanks for those great confessions, everyone.
I was at a restaurant getting a burrito for lunch, and I saw this girl that I knew in high school actually really well. We were like in a couple bands together, and she dated one of my friends for a long time, and like we were pretty good friends in high school and hadn't really hung out much after high school, and really haven't hung out for, it's probably been over 10 years, but I saw her, and so I like waved, and then like it was really awkward because she like waved back, but with this sort of confused look like, do I know you? And I was like, oh crap. Is this a person that is not who I think they are? So then I went back to work because I was just at lunch from work, and a girl that was at work knows this same person. So I was like, I think I saw her at lunch, and I waved, but she was really confused. And she's like, I'm gonna message her right now. And so she did. She's like, oh, she knew it was you. And I was like, oh, then why was it so awkward for me? So
maybe it's just your perception of it. Maybe she really was like, oh, hey.
Maybe. Maybe I just felt like my waving was really extra long or something.
Like, wait, I'm waving really bigly, as the new word of the day. Bigly. You can't see it, but if you were to see it.
Alicia's very much waving bigly, though.
Bigly.
Bigly sounds like a character's name.
Bigly.
Come on over here, Bigly. Hey guys, I'm Bigly. You know?
There's more impersonations of a stranger that I don't know.
My name's Bigly.
Bigly. You know, actually, that reminds me. So people were joking. So Steve and I both live in Utah. We might have talked about this, about people naming their kids Brexit.
Oh, we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah. So apparently, one of my friends was somewhere, and someone was. You know, they were like in a grocery store or something, and like, oh, here, hold Brexit. And I'm like, what? So someone actually named their kids Brexit.
Before it happened, or like?
Like, it was a baby, so it must have been recent that
I swear I saw a joke online that said somebody is looking at Brexit going, oh, that's a pretty good name.
Yeah, so it has been done. I couldn't tell you the friend's name because I can't remember, but
Utah moms, you gotta quit.
Utah moms, you need.
What's wrong with
They must be stopped.
What's wrong with like James? Why isn't that an okay name?
No.
Brian.
Brexit.
Joseph. Although I think last time we said Joseph was a douchebag or something.
Oh, was it? I want to say it's Kevin, but that wasn't it.
No.
I just have.
I'm pretty sure we said Joseph.
Joseph.
Anyway.
Joseph.
Hey, this is your Plain Donuts co-host, Steve. Thanks again for listening. You made it to the 6th episode, so you've got some real stamina. you might need the stamina to get through the rest of this episode, actually. I don't know. Let us know. You can let us know by contacting us on Facebook or Twitter. You can find us on Facebook by searching for Plain Donuts or just going to facebook.com/plaindonuts. You can also find us on Twitter at Your Plain Donuts. That's YOUR Plain Donuts. Or use the hashtag Plain Donuts, and we'll find you that way as well. But yeah, we really do love having you as a listener, and we say this with some regularity, but if you think this is a fun podcast and you like the way we interact with the community and you want to help that community grow, and in turn make it more fun and help us interact with the community more and actually probably increase the entertainment value of the podcast, tell a friend. That's probably the most helpful thing you can do. Just say, hey, these guys are great. They are cool. Just use those words. They're just perfect for you. You can also subscribe on iTunes and leave a rating there or a review. Apple uses that stuff to help decide who to show in the featured sections and that kind of thing. Anyway, we really do appreciate your listenership. Just enjoy the rest of the show. We have one other question that came from the polling audience.
Oh boy!
I'm gonna say it out loud because we got no fear, but we might just slide on by. We might just pull a politician move and not answer. Yeah. We'll see.
Here we go.
The question is, why are you voting for Hillary or Donald?
Oh. Well,
I can say that neither of us are voting for Donald, and we've said that before on the podcast. I'm not going to confess who I'm voting for, although you could probably easily figure it out if you just follow me on social media.
Steve likes to start stuff on social media.
Oh, no.
Well, he doesn't mean... I don't think he means to start stuff on social media, but he posts, things that, like, start discussions. And a lot of times, politics are pretty heated, and especially now, so people will get really, I'm taking this very personally against my candidate who's special and one of a kind, and it gets kind of dramatic. And
well, here's the thing. So we both live in Utah, so effectively, and I read an article this week actually that from John Saltis, the City Weekly owner. He has a letter that he writes every week, and I used to work for them, so I kind of keep up with them. But he basically, I didn't read the article, confession, but it sounds like from what people were posting on Facebook that he's saying he's voting for Evan McMullin.
Oh, yeah.
Not because he's conservative or necessarily likes McMullin's politics, but because it's likely that McMullin could win Utah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a couple of Deseret News polls have come out saying that...
With him on top?
Yeah, with him on top, yeah. So...
I've heard about that happening recently, and then if he takes Utah, then it's going to be some dramatic thing, where... And I'm blowing my nose, by the way, so just to let everyone know, well, I sound like this, I promise, I'm blowing my nose, but... for transparency reasons. But I have heard, that, I've heard people talking about it. If he takes Utah, he has the chance of the presidency.
Well, he kind of does if Utah ends up becoming the clinch state that you need to get. So basically, what happens is nobody gets enough electoral votes to be the president. It's in the 200s that you get, and nobody would get them. Evan McMullin would get the electoral votes for Utah. So the situation is threefold, basically. Evan McMullin gets the electoral votes for Utah. That causes no one to get enough electoral votes to be the president. So then the choice goes to the House, and I'm pretty sure, once it goes to the House, they basically get to decide among the people who won electoral votes who gets to be president. And because it's currently Republican controlled, and hopefully none of them are insane enough to want Donald Trump to be president, they would say, well, Evan McMullin it is. Wow, and so it's actually somewhat possible that McMullin could be president, but there's a lot of stuff that would have to fall in place for that to be.
destiny for it to
Yeah,
happen.
there would be a lot of stuff.
I looked this up because I was curious about how many electoral votes Utah has, because I was thinking like, 8 or 10, whatever. Utah has 6, so
yeah.
As much as I would, like to see something really dramatic happen in my lifetime with the presidential election where no one actually won and it ended up being this not rando dude, but I mean, people know and are talking about him, but it would just be a really funny thing to happen. So
the odds are none of that would happen, but it's very rare in your life. Somebody said this, that you actually can like be living. I was watching the Hamilton documentary and they said you don't know its history while you're living it.
Yeah, that's true.
You're just living. But so it's rare in life that something happens where you go, that's a historical moment, right? Like somewhat rare where you can say this is a thing that's never happened before. So we might have 2 of those with a non-white president and maybe a woman president.
Who knows?
Or maybe we'll just have... maybe we'll have the first sociopathic president.
The first.
That's really bad. I'm really getting myself in trouble right now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you know how a lot of the drama around Donald Trump is also about his children, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the latest thing I saw, and this popped up on Facebook, and I have no idea why, but it was like, Donald Trump's son in and out putting lemonade in a water cup. So he got a free water cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because water's free. And
wait, is this a real thing that happened?
And there's pictures and there's like this whole thing, but you can clearly see, his son is standing there holding this cup and it's filled with lemonade. Yeah. It's not filled with water.
Right.
And so people are making this huge deal about it, and there was like tweets about it and it was crazy, and I mean that was a couple days ago, so that's old news by now, but
long past.
But I just thought that was pretty funny that was like a thing to scrutinize.
Well, and it's funny because like we talk about presidential hiccups during the election race as like gaffes, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe he did that. And it's not usually like really dramatic stuff either. Yeah. It's usually like, oh, can you believe that Mitt Romney was talking about a certain segment of society in this way to his millionaire donors or whatever, right? And it's like, ridiculous. And it's actually not that offensive, but it's kind of like, do you really think that way about these people? And that stuff like that can influence the outcome of an election, right? But it seems like this year it's just been like Trump won't release his taxes like literally every presidential candidate before him. That's crazy to me. We should make it a rule. Anyway.
It's just, it should be a rule. The thing is, it hasn't needed to be a rule.
Yeah.
And so, I think he's just like, oh, I don't need to do that.
Well, even,
it's not a rule,
so like...
And there's like the potential that he hasn't paid taxes in, 18 years or something crazy
because the New York Times got a hold of some taxes from like 96 or something like
or something crazy.
Yeah. So just a couple pages of his taxes, supposedly. Right.
I have this mental picture in my mind of Donald Trump like filling out his like W-2 forms and like going to the post office and picking up his like 1040 easy form and just like trying to fill it out by hand and getting frustrated, and that would be a great bit on SNL. I think someone should do that.
I don't know. It sounds really sad to me. But to me, I'm like, compare this to, for example, our founding fathers. Yeah. And we have like a really good story specifically about paperwork and potential questionable use of money, right? Yeah. You can watch this in Alexander Hamilton's musical. Anyway, basically, like, Hamilton was having an affair with somebody, and her husband found out and was like, well, I'll let you keep going with it if you'll pay me some money. Yeah. So Hamilton did. And then Jefferson...
Bad idea, by the way. Does not end well for Hamilton.
And, right. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but... Jefferson came out and was like inspecting some paperwork, and they were like, this doesn't make sense. Some of this doesn't line up. It looks like Hamilton was using like the government's money to like launder it or whatever. Something illegal before really all of our financial systems were invented. But Anyway, so they confront him about it, and
Yeah.
he's like, okay, so here's how to explain these missing dollars from my personal account. It's because I was having this affair. And he actually writes about it
he
and
posted
publishes
himself.
it, right? Like, to me, I'm like, okay, that is pretty honorable.
Yeah.
And compare that to the guy who might have some questionable stuff on his taxes and completely refuses to release it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know... maybe you shouldn't be the president if you've got questionable stuff on your taxes. You ever think about that? You're trying to, like, skirt all our laws. Maybe you're not really a law-abiding citizen and you shouldn't be the president of the United States. Okay. I gotta calm down today.
Steve's getting fired up. Steve's turning red. His face is actually red right now.
Sorry. This subject should not make me that upset. And it's...
I don't know. I just keep... bad. Like, in my mind, I just keep pretending like it's all a joke. And then I'm like, oh, this isn't real. This isn't real. But then I got my ballot in the mail the other day, and I was like, I opened it up, and I look, and I see Hillary and Donald Trump's name in the options to select. I'm like, oh, this is real. I really have to vote for somebody.
Yeah.
It was just a really awful moment.
Yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable.
I should go back to Scotland, you know? Like,
well, and, like, I don't know. I can just say that we probably shouldn't talk in this detailed of a way about it because it's just going to get us in trouble. But I've listened to a few different, like, reporters talking about, man, and today in particular, I read an article from an attorney general talking about, like, I have looked into the investigations around Hillary Clinton, and there is nothing that she can be charged for legally. Like, you have to have evidence that you can charge them with, right? And there's nothing there. And actually, like, other people are saying, we looked through all this, it's really boring. None of this stuff is very interesting. And that's the problem. There's nothing in there. Like, there's just nothing to charge them with. Yeah, it was a really sloppy way of using a private server for public stuff. Like, and I don't know, people get so mad because they're like, it could have been classified, there might have been and it's like, okay, well, prove it, you know? That's the thing is, sure, maybe, I don't know, but you have to prove it with evidence in order to charge someone with something. Yeah. So...
it's just like a... Benghazi! Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Now we're gonna lose followers. I'm so sorry.
We're going from 22 to 21. No!
I'm so sorry, Steve.
But no, it's just crazy because it's like, and I heard John Scalzi, or I read Twitter, John Scalzi on Twitter said, this woman, her entire political career has been under this kind of scrutiny. Yeah. There have been people looking constantly to charge her with something, right? Yeah. And she just never has been able to be charged. So either she's one of the most devious schemers of all time, better than our entire government, or there's just nothing to charge her with, which Occam's razor says that's probably it.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know, like, when you think about it logically, because there are people that are richer than Hillary Clinton. Yeah. There are people who have been politicians longer than Hillary Clinton, who are on the opposite side of who are Republican politicians. And there are people who are richer who are Republicans. Right. Who, if they wanted to find something, they could have paid or done something in a way to put her in jail. Unless she somehow has more money and power and control than these other people who have a ton of money and a ton of power and a ton of control. Right. So, a lot, like, when you think about that, like, should have happened.
It's okay. You know what? No, logic doesn't matter at all. It's just about how we feel and the single issue that we're voting for, that we only care about this one thing. And if you don't line up on that, then you can't be president. Sorry.
This is Plain Donut's political podcast.
This is supposed to be funny. You like this?
Are you laughing now?
Oh, it's so bad. Oh, we're so bad. Okay.
Oh, sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. And I blame the question. Sorry, Jamieson.
Jamieson, we gave you the best shout out ever. Why you gotta pull this on us? Just kidding. We only gave you that shout out recently.
Yeah. Don't stop listening either, Jamieson. We need all 10 of our followers to band together.
Oh, jeez. Otto has something for us. He just asked another awkward question. Where's Obama's birth certificate? know what? I don't know.
I don't know. I've never seen it, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, and the one that he showed was probably fake.
Yeah, so there we go.
That Kenyan should never have been president. I don't care if the economy's recovered. I don't care if I make more money than he did when I started. What a... Okay, all right, let's move on to actual, like, good topics that are funny. This whole podcast is me just, like, boiling over and then being like, nope, gotta back up. Like,
I love that there are these two sides of you, Steve. There's the one that's, like, this ultra apologetic, like, very sorry for no reason... You know, really nice guy. And then there's this other guy.
Who's not nice?
No, you're nice. But it's just, you're very passionate and really fired up about very specific things. And you just want to, like, have these, like, intense discussions and, like, really dive into the thick of it. And I don't know. It's just
well,
really great.
Here's the thing. Part of my philosophy on life is that, like, everything is more complicated than we want to make it. And nobody likes to think about complexity. So it's like Hillary's corrupt, Donald's a horrible person, whatever. We just want to put people in these buckets and let them be that way, and that's just not the way life works. And you shouldn't vote that way either.
Hey, if you haven't registered to vote yet, you should. There's still time. You have until it's the first week of November, I believe. November
8th is the date that you should vote.
But if you have not, I think to register to vote, you have to do it like a week in advance.
I'm not sure what the registry date is. We could look it up.
Go look. We'll look it up for you.
How can I register to vote?
Hey, we got another like.
November 1st. Yeah, Ashton. I know her. November 1st in Utah. October 11th was the date you could register by mail. So November 1st is the last day.
So you
if you live in Utah.
A couple days, which is like 99.999% of our audience, I'm sure, are all Utah-based.
Utah seems to be like actually more lenient about that than any other state. I appreciate that, Utah. You're really... you can vote till November. You can register in person on November 8th to vote.
In Idaho.
Yeah, in Idaho. Sorry, I didn't mention the state. Yes, Idaho. Anyway, yeah, it seems like Utah's giving people a little bit more time than some of the other states, and I think that's great. It encourages people to get involved. I'm cool with this. Rock the vote. Okay.
We're specifically talking to you, fellow millennials, who have failed to show up at the polls in the past, but I think they did pretty good in the.
In the primaries for sure.
Yeah.
Because Bernie captured the millennial heart, I guess.
Bernie bros.
I know. And the thing is like it's hilarious that now since Bernie conceded and Hillary's become the nominee, people have just been like, "Oh, never mind. If it's not Bernie, it's nobody. I'm switching to Donald."
Yeah.
But
and it's just like, "No, what?"
that is
It's very confusing.
Just urgently stupid. Anyway,
but I really liked there was this
pause. I'm sorry. If you switch from Bernie to Donald, what that means is you don't actually care about policy at all. All you care about is the person that you're voting for. And to be fair, I don't think that president is a surrogate for policy. They are a person for real. That's true. But what you're saying if you switch from Bernie to Donald is, I don't care what Bernie stood for because Donald stands for the opposite of that. And Bernie himself has said, what you do is you vote in the people who you think are closer to your positions, and then you keep working. He specifically said on a video that was posted, it's not about whether you trust Hillary or not. Yeah. It's not about trust. Her positions historically have been closer to what you want. So you vote her into office because that's going to get you closer to what you think is better for the country, and then you keep working. And really, the smaller votes for people like Senate and House and stuff like that, those are more important. So you should be voting for those because the whole reason that Obama hasn't been able to do more is because Republican-controlled House and sometimes Senate have completely blocked him from doing anything. So anyway, you should get involved and don't switch your allegiances just because you got your feelings hurt, crybabies. I'm speaking to you, my millennial buddies. Anyway.
Speaking to Bernie bros specifically.
Whew. I think that's important.
That's the second time Steve got really fired up today.
Okay, I'm sorry for stopping. It's just one of those things where it's really do you actually care, or are you just...
I don't really understand it myself. I can see why people would become so disillusioned with the system.
Yeah,
and things like that. But at the same time, it's just like, ooh, but do you really want to do that?
Well, here's a thing that's super interesting that is actually coming into question in this election is that since George Washington, we have always had a peaceful transition of power in the presidency, meaning like whoever loses the electoral vote concedes and says, yep, that's great. They won, the people spoke, that's fine. And unlike no other system do you see that. Almost nowhere do you see a consistent democratic transition of power. And so like that's sort of like the core backbone of our system. And if you take that away, if you faction people out, then you end up with like civil wars and instability and the value of the dollar crashing and our whole society coming to a slow.
Do you want that to happen, America? Do you want to tear the Statue of Liberty's heart out and just stomp on it on the ground? You heathens.
I like it. I like how you had to find a good insult. And the one that came up was heathens.
Yes. Anyways, we should stop talking about. We should go to our normal. I don't even know how long we've been talking at this point.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Oh, that would be a really good 8-bit song.
It's been 42 minutes. That's about a whole episode.
I'm really sorry.
Thanks, Jamieson.
The whiskey made me do it.
We actually literally just started and ended an episode with Jamieson.
Oh, we did. Good job, Jamieson. This is Jamieson themed, I guess. We'll name it after you.